John Wesley Shipp. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Sir. Hello. Absolute pleasure. I'm fantastic. And yourself?
Good.
Thank you so very much.
Good.
Please join us. Thank
you.
Sir, I think I speak for all of us when we say that you are the father of modern geekdom right now.
Oh, wow.
You are all our geeky dads. Come on, y'all. Your presentation as an actor, specifically character building, has been so significant in my lifetime. I came in as an early geek in the early '90s, and so your run of Flash was pivotal to my existence today. So thank you so very much
Thanks.
for everything that you did. But I think it's first and foremost that we have to talk about you as an actor starting off in soap operas.
Yes.
And daytime television is such a special place when it comes to acting. It's so very different and very unique from film and other forms of television. What was it that drove you to that, other than, of course, your beautiful smile? Come on now. Come on.
Oh,
we know
you
what it
sweet
is.
talker.
We know what it is. We know what it is.
Lie to me, baby.
Yeah,
Lie to me.
absolutely. All the time, every time. But yeah, what drove you to soaps?
A paycheck.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
I
Oh,
was
that's
in New
fair.
York waiting tables for a couple of years
Right.
doing the actor-waiter showcase thing. And then I actually got cast in Showtime's first original movie for television. They did a Best of Off-Broadway series.
Wow.
They did The Passion of Dracula, Me and My Girl, and Tom Ian's The Dirtiest Show in Town. My poor grandmother was like, of all the three, did you have to be in The Dirtiest Show in Town? I said, I didn't pick it, they picked me.
They picked me.
And then the next month, I was cast as Kelly Nelson in Guiding Light.
Come on, make some noise for that.
And
Make some
there
noise for that.
was.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that deserves applause. I ran around in my Speedo and sang You Needed Me for 3 years.
I mean, truth is
Gotta
truth.
start
okay?
somewhere, right?
Truth is truth. It's interesting too because the soaps was such a pivotal time period in the 70s and 80s because it was this very we'll call it daytime mom at home centric kind of showcase of storytelling.
Had been.
What sort of fan base did you curate, again, wearing such a fabulous attire? And were you aware of it? Were you getting fan letters or anything like that from stay-at-home moms that were just adoring you?
I have to tell you, I've landed in different entertainment forms at pivotal moments throughout my career. And in the early 80s, daytime was bursting onto the scene. The budgets exploded. They were casting younger casts. They had the Luke, Laura, Scotty triangle on General Hospital.
Classic.
And our CBS version was Kelly, Nola, Morgan.
Love it.
And so there was an explosion of young people.
Wow.
That were watching. I mean, we were getting 22 million viewers a week.
Come on, that's brilliant.
And I would be recognized. I went to a Super Bowl party at the San Diego Zoo. All the ball players who would be on the road and have the TV on, they recognized me. I had firemen and policemen, college students. Once I was at the changing of the guard in Arlington, Virginia with a friend of mine. I had on the hat, it was a rainy day, but there was school buses of kids, and I was hanging in the back. And we were watching. Very solemn event, and then suddenly I see somebody, this young girl nudged the girl next to her, and she turned, and then she turned, and then this whole group, I felt very guilty, went from watching the changing of the guard to looking at me. And I said to my friend, we better run. And so I had the honor of being chased through Arlington Cemetery by busloads of school kids. That's very disrespectful.
I mean,
but
at the same time,
it sort of foreshadowed my playing the Flash.
Exactly. I was gonna say, like you had to run. You're like, wait a minute, what superhero does? And obviously being in Virginia, your home state, that's got to be something magical too, to kind of bring that sort of recognition home like that and be seen by a crowd of essentially your local citizen peers. What is that like to be recognized when you could have been anywhere in the world?
It was overwhelming. I truly believe, unless I had gotten used to it by the time I did Flash 1990, because certainly I got recognized a lot, but the energy of 13 to 15, 16, 17-year-olds you know, who had discovered daytime TV, and we had these hot, sexy stories,
Right.
and the hormones were raging.
Of course.
It's like I couldn't go anywhere. It is the closest to being a rock star that I've been, other than doing a Comic-Con in South America.
Of course.
There's nothing like that. You go down and you're a Beatle for 3 days, you know. Then you come back to New York and you can't get a call back. You know,
I'm just gonna live in Brazil.
But
Just
you
call
know,
it that.
cool thing I got to do was my grandmother had been a fan of Guiding Light
Okay.
from radio days.
Oh wow.
And so I had her come up and be on the show. Now, she was an extra, and she walked through the hospital, but they knew she was my grandmother. They gave her her own dressing room.
Of course.
They would call the principal actors, and then they'd say background, but they'd say, and Mrs. Bryant.
Oh.
And she walked back and forth. She was the envy of Wilma and Hazel and Ruth and all her friends back home.
I love it. I love it. That's how you do it right there. That's how you use your influence to the positive. You have such a robust body of work. But I want to talk a little bit about you being on stage and live theater. And what does that bring for you as an actor that is so very different from television or film?
Well, first of all, you have words that have been written and curated and studied over for months, years
Yes.
by the playwright.
Mm-hmm.
And in that instance, you don't change a single comma or ellipsis.
Right.
Everything is delivered exactly as written because the playwright has poured their blood, sweat, and tears onto
Exactly.
the page. And what you get is the immediate reaction like I get here, you know? I mean, you could be at a studio and you may think you're cool as a moose, you know, and you're just having the best time and you think you're the, you know.
Right. You're the bee's knees.
Greatest thing, we're acting for each other.
Right.
And you don't get the immediate audience reaction.
Right.
Usually what you get from the Teamsters is, oh my God, is he done yet?
Is it lunch
Oh
yet?
my
What do we got?
God, acting's nothing special. Just do it and sit down, all right? But no, crews are great. That's really not my experience at all.
Good,
but there
good.
was one cameraman that had that written on the side of his
Oh
camera.
wow, wow. That guy, you're like, oh,
Which
that's how
I
you
thought
feel.
it was really funny.
That's too funny.
So, but it's the difference of, and I want to always go back and forth
Yeah.
because the energy is so different. Television, particularly daytime,
Of course.
you fly by the seat of your pants.
Right.
You know, when All My Children's story hit the front burner, I was doing 40 pages of dialogue a day,
Wow.
my scenes, while I was doing the Tony Award-winning Dancing at Lunasa on Broadway
Good
8 times a week.
gracious.
So I'd go to the studio at 7 in the morning.
Right.
On matinee days, they'd have a car to take me to my matinee. Then they'd take me back to ABC. Then they'd have a car for my evening performance. The next morning, I'd be in, because I was working you work every day when
Yeah.
and I was this psycho, you know, who kidnapped Natalie and took her to the houseboat. And I abused her because she wouldn't love me. And then I'd cry, you know.
We
and so
loved you for that. Yes,
it was
yes.
just crazy. It was craziness. And you have to be ready, because sometimes you don't get the pages
Right.
that far in advance. And they do give you, or at least they've given me, the freedom to study and change things.
Okay.
Once they discovered that you're not doing it to serve your own ego,
Right.
that you really are trying to make emotional logic make sense. I had a director say, "You're the only actor I know who cuts his own lines." I said, well, I'd rather say something once.
Right.
You know, because they also can be overwritten.
Right.
They try to make the point, you make it 3 times, it's
Right.
diffused and it doesn't have the. So I'm like, what if we take this and put it up here? And what if we do this? And what if on this line, which was cool at CBS, because
Right.
they gave you a lot of freedom, Douglas Marland. When I went to ABC, man, they told those kids every move to make.
Wow.
They'd say, okay, you say this line, you look to the right, and you sit down. And I'm like, what if I say the line, I don't sit down? And, you know, the director's
Right.
going, every time you say what if, you cost us $1,000. And they're like erasing everything. But
But the
they
story
saw
is better.
early on that it made it better.
Right.
And I was willing to cut my own lines. And I just really wanted it to be the best that it could be. The fact that I was doing the Tony Award-winning play on Broadway and they asked me to come to All My Children also
Right.
also
that helps.
helped.
Yes.
But I had daytime is exhilarating.
I love it.
Particularly if you come in, as I did then later on One Life to Live,
Mm-hmm.
and you do short stories.
Okay.
Like that have a 6-month run. You have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Mhm.
You have an arc. You're usually a villain, which are the most fun to play on daytime.
Oh,
You know?
interesting to hear a hero say that. Interesting.
Both of my Emmys are for psychopaths. So I don't know what that says about me.
You do it well. You do it well.
It's like Teen Wolf, The Flash.
Yes,
who,
yes.
Who is he really?
Darkness, darkness. You staying on theater runs. In 12 Angry Men, you play the pivotal character, juror number 8.
Yes.
And one of my favorite plays. And it's so very interesting because it's such a conversation about the human condition and experience and perspectives. What was it like to, again, be a part of that legacy of that characterization and really look at how people see each other?
Phenomenal.
Oh, that's
phenomenal.
Yes.
And we also did it in Pinehurst, North Carolina. And the Moorhead Foundation, they sponsored 5 high schools. They bought them the play, and they studied the play and the Constitution together.
Wow.
And they went through the play saying which of the Bill of Rights is being addressed at what point in the play. And let me tell you, we had 700 high school students come to that play, and they were ready.
That is fascinating.
I mean, they knew everything that was coming and what it meant.
Wow.
And you know, I have a video of the standing ovation that we got at the end of that play. That was just, but they knew, they were so informed.
Right.
It's so great to play in front of an audience like that. And also, it's intimidating because if you screw up, and
they'll know.
They'll know if you
absolutely
you jump to a once I was doing a project at Indiana University. It was a graduate student's project, and it was a Pinter play. And you know, Pinter repeats. They'll change one word, which propels you onto the play. At one point, we missed the word, and we used a word that spun us all the way back to the beginning of the act. And we would get to that word, and we'd find ourselves at the beginning. It was terrifying. It was cold sweat. I thought, are we ever going to get out of this play?
Right.
But we finally found our way through whatever the transition was to get us there. But yeah, it's, you know, it's like being on stage. I did The Killing of Michael Malloy based on a true story in Los Angeles. And at one point, these 3 guys are supposed to come carry this Irish drunk out, which they've been trying to kill, true story, to get the insurance money, you know, and he keeps being resurrected and coming back to the bar and freaking, it becomes a whole metaphysical treatise. And they're supposed to come get the body on a particular line, and they didn't come in. And so you're there. And, you know, Maurice Reeves, great Irish actor, he was playing the drunk that was ascending as my bartender, who's a teetotaler and very judgmental of drinkers.
Right.
Bartender.
That's wild.
Began to drink and lose his sobriety. So he was going down as Maurice Reeves was going up. And for a while, we were on the same plane together. But at this pivotal moment, they didn't come in. It's like, what do we do now?
What do we do?
What happened?
Guys?
We have to have some. I just went back and started cleaning the bar. I didn't know what else to do.
Wow.
Finally, they're like,
oh, yeah.
we don't hear anything.
Maybe we need to go.
Maybe we need to go in. They're like, thanks, guys.
That's, wow. That's insane. That's insane. Make some noise for that one time, seriously. Because again, like you said, being on stage, that is a very interactive bit of acting where the audience feeds directly into your performance. Every time it can be something a little bit different and nuanced. But I want to definitely get into Flash. The early 90s was this, that's right, was this kind of resurgence in superheroes and the way that we portrayed them or saw them even as a culture. 89's Batman set a bar. The time period of 89 Batman and Flash coming out, where were you as an actor? Were you eager for anything superhero related, or was this just another job at the time?
I was not only not eager, I was in New York.
Right.
You know, I fancied myself a serious actor. I had my 2 Emmys. I had been on Broadway. I was like a superhero television show, and I immediately went to the fact that they had mainly been spoofed on TV up until that. But like I said before, I've been fortunate that I've landed in mediums right at the moment of a pivotal moment. Batman and Flash were both in development on the at Warner Brothers at the same time around a new way of telling these stories for adults, a darker, edgier. No, we're not going to spoof these characters. We're going to take it for real. We're going to ask the question, what would happen to an ordinary man? What would happen to you if you suddenly had super speed and you realized you could deal, what would that do to you? And what I loved, because initially I was like, I don't know. And Emmy Award-winning casting director April Webster talked to me. She said, John, just read it. Just read the hour-and-a-half pilot that Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo have written. And I read it, and I thought, okay, you know, and I'm reading it, and here's this guy who's the unblessed son of a cop family where real cops work the streets. But I go into the crime lab, so my mom might be afraid that all of her kids might not come home that night. And my dad doesn't really respect it, and he's always kind of cutting me down. So I've made my peace with it. I still love my brother,
of course,
who's the favorite son. And then this accident happens, and I reach for my coffee cup, and it smashes against the wall, and I go to catch a bus, and I end up 30 miles away at Crystal Beach in the water, you know, and that was fun because we're doing practical effects. So we had to set dynamite down the beach, and it was a series of explosions that were practical effects, not CGI, of course, and explosions into the water. And then they threw me into this filthy water. There was like a factory right over there. And, you know, put me under, and they said, okay, at this moment you come up gasping, you know. So, and then he has the possibility, and what I loved, what sold me on it was his first reaction wasn't, okay, I'm going to go be a Hugh Hollywood hero now. His first reaction was, I don't want to know from this. I've made my peace with my lot in life, foreshadowing Henry Allen. In the CW Flash.
Come on now.
And all the pieces fit together, man. And I don't want to be extraordinary. I go to Tina McGee. I say, I want to be rid of it. Well, I'm not going to be a lab rat. I don't want to use them. I have no desire to be a hero. Get rid of it. And then my brother is killed. The wonderful Tim Thomerson, who I love so much. You know, he's such a great guy.
Absolutely.
A great loss to the show was the fact that his character had to die.
True.
And once I'm holding his body on the side of the road, and I let out that yell, and then I go to Tina and say, okay, it's on. You know, I want a mask to cover my face so nobody can see who I am. And you know that red spot that the motorcycle gang keeps splashing up against the wall to spread terror? I want my own symbol. And here it is, the lightning bolt to strike terror in their hearts. And I went, unblessed son gets kick butt powers. That would make his dad so proud, can't tell him, doesn't want him until his brother is killed, and then it's to avenge the death of his brother. I said, man, I can play all of that.
Absolutely.
I can play absolutely all of it.
And, sir, you did. Make some noise. Come on. Come on. You made evenings so powerful because, again, the feeling that we got watching the '89 Batman was great, right? But you get that feeling that opening weekend and the few times that you might go back to the theater, you were piped into our homes on a weekly basis where we got to keep that energy literally running fast for us. And it was such a pivotal time period of superheroes. You're talking that movie, Flash, The Death of Superman, Batman the Animated Series comes out, and it's this lineup of culture that I think most of us in this room, like that's kind of where we got our start in geekdom. And so to know that you had such an impact on a generation of people, how does that feel as an actor to be able to look back and go, wow, this thing was important and I was a lead in that?
It was nothing I ever expected. It's incredibly humbling. I mean, the experiences that I have at these conventions with people who come to me and with tears in their eyes, and they'll tell me, my dad was a fan of your Flash, and I'm watching the new Flash with my kids, and you're the thread that winds through and binds that experience together. And what do you do with that?
Come on, y'all. That's right. Yes. Thank you, sincerely.
And I'm so grateful for a project that I did not want to do at the beginning. As soon as I got that hot suit off, I was like, I will never get into another superhero suit ever again. Never say never.
Never say never.
You know?
Never ever.
And then for it to come back and to mean so much to so many people, it blows my mind. And the affirmation, people say, you're so approachable, you're so kind. All I'm doing is reflecting the phenomenal energy that I'm getting from you guys. And I can't tell you what that does for my soul. I don't know why I'm so emotional this weekend.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't
Nothing
know.
wrong with
Maybe
that.
I'm tired.
No, listen. That vulnerability is part of what makes us feel so connected to you and have, I mean, even when we were children watching you and in the different life happenings that happened to Barry's character that we might have never felt, we understood because your vulnerability was so authentic and real. So never apologize for that. It's part of the reason why we love you. Like, literally.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Of course,
Thank you.
Of course.
And that actually is kind of a beautiful segue to the new Flash.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because we want to talk about vulnerability.
Yes.
You want to talk about truth in acting. You want to talk about you can't see the seams. You can't see the acting. I was like, boy, do you ever have an untruthful moment?
Come on now.
It was phenomenal. I knew when I saw him on Arrow, Greg
Yes.
Gustin.
Yes.
I knew when I saw him on Arrow, there's no acting, which is the best acting.
Right.
It's art that conceals art. It's truth. And I love working with young actors when they suddenly discover that acting was nothing that they thought it was. It's not about leaving yourself and going over here to play a part. It's about finding those elements of what's happening in that character and asking yourself, well, what would I do if I were, not what would the character do? What would I do if I were the character in that situation?
Right.
You know, and this young actor, I was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to work with that.
I love it.
And I was so happy they came to me for Henry Allen.
Yes,
Because
yes.
it had a resonance that Jay Garrick at the beginning would not have had.
Very true.
And I would have been leery to do it because of comparing myself to a superhero 24 years earlier.
I got you.
But to have me come in and be his daughter in a new telling of that story, a darker origin story. You know, Emmett Walsh, the great Emmett Walsh, may rest in peace, who just passed this year.
Right.
Emmett Walsh was not wrongfully convicted of killing Amy Irving's mother,
Right.
you know, Priscilla Pointer, who played my mom,
Right.
In front of a 10-year-old me.
It's true. It's true.
So when I heard that was how Jeff Johns had blown up the Allen family, I was like, if they come to me, that's the role I want.
That's right.
Because I knew that it would accomplish two things. I get to involve myself in the very beginning of a new actor taking over a franchise I had represented for 24 years.
That's right.
And I would be there in a supportive capacity as a loving father. And people would say, no, you got to be Jay Garrick. I said, I know why you say that. You want the passing of the torch. You're going to get it. But it's not going to be it's going to be a father-son blessing.
Yes. Yes.
But let me tell you, through those scenes, there were moments when we didn't know who was talking to who.
Wow.
If Henry was talking to Barry, if old Flash was talking to new Flash, or if John was talking to Grant. Because I played the role. I knew it was iconic. I knew what some of his hopes and dreams and insecurities might be. And I was there in the most wonderful capacity, as soon as I found out how much I loved the guy, to hold up a mirror to him in whatever insecurity, to show him what I saw in him that I knew would make him the Flash for today. Sorry, Ezra. The Flash.
Hey.
For today.
Come on now. Yes. Yes.
You know, and like I say, it all overlapped. Henry Allen, that telling of Henry Allen is a part I wanted to play, whether I'd never been Barry.
Of course.
The fact that I'd been Barry, I had voiced Professor Zoom.
Right.
He knew I had been the Flash. He was, knew that series. I knew what he was taking on.
Right.
But his hopes and dreams were, it just fit like that. I got to tell you a story. I got to tell you a quick story. I don't want to run out of time, but you remember the pilot, the prison scene that, where's the hand on the glass? Well, we had learned the scene, and we went through it, and we did his. And David Nutter, Emmy Award-winning director, Game of Thrones. He directed Red Wedding, and he's brilliant director.
Heartbreaker.
Came to me before my close-up He gave me a bottle of water. He's very quiet. And he says, John, we've written some lines that we didn't want you to hear until this moment to honor you and your contribution to the franchise through the years. So don't come in when you hear with your line, when you hear your cue. There will be some things that you've never heard. Mm. Well, that did two things. One was it totally galvanized me in the moment. Man, I was listening like crazy. Sandra Meisner would have been so proud. You know, it's all about cueing into the other actor. I was like, what's it going to say? What's it going to say? And his building emotion, he's building emotion, and then I hear the words. You remember when you wanted me to change my name because you didn't want anyone to associate with me with you. Well, I'm glad I didn't change my name. I am proud of you, and I am proud to be your son. I lost it. Oh. Because what John was hearing, because I didn't know if they would want to cut ties and have something completely their own with the past, how they would feel. And they knew that I'd react that way. I was like, you guys, you know, I went, Grant went, I went again. It was almost unintelligible. It was so full with emotion. And they did a very smart thing. They said, okay, everybody freeze, start again. All the emotion was there, but it wasn't running away with us. Because if the actor is up there feeling everything, there's no room for you, you know? It's like, great, you're having all these wonderful, and that's one thing Grant managed to do, is have so much truthful emotion, plus he's a pretty crier. let's just face facts, right? And some of us aren't, you know, right? So, but still leave room for the audience to have some emotion.
I love that.
You know?
That's brilliant.
Just went from there.
Yes, yes. One of the things I think that is so magical about that is we have the pop cultural aspect that we can see, the passing of the torch of flashes, but hearing the behind the scenes magic of two actors in sync and letting that play out for us to experience, I think, again, that authenticity is why it resonates so very well with us. When we see it, there is no question of the immensity of what we're seeing, even if we don't know the specificity. So if we don't know that it's Henry to Barry, we don't know if it's John to Grant, we just are there because that's where it is. And that's absolutely brilliant. Make some noise for that one more time, y'all.
Oh, thank you.
Literally.
Thank you.
Literally.
It's incredible.
Yes.
Incredible.
I want to invite you guys to ask some questions. We have a microphone here. We've got about 17 minutes, so we'll try to get through as many people as we can. You don't have to rush. He is the Flash. He'll get to you. I promise. All right? Hello, friend. How we doing today?
Hello. If need be, he'll just turn back time. We'll be all set.
Exactly.
Yeah. My question.
Oh no. What am I wearing now?
One of my favorite things to think about, obviously, was when I first heard that you were coming on to the new series as the dad. I thought this was an immense treasure, a treat to all of us fanboys and fangirls out there that love the first series, love the transition, love the handoff as you've been explaining. I'm curious, what was your reaction when they came to you for Crisis on Infinite Earths and got to bring back your original Flash into the series?
Yes.
What was that about?
Dude, let me back up. I didn't know I was going to be Jay Garrick.
Wow.
I didn't know I was the man in the iron mask. You know what they did to that guy, that actor? They told him to study the way 3 actors move our hands, leading up to the man in the iron mask scenes with Teddy.
Right.
Zoom.
Oh, okay.
And on the day, they said it's John Wesley Shipp. Do you know that actor? Friends of mine have said his hands are a little bit smaller than mine, but they said, I swear, looking back, I would think it was you, because I do talk with my hands a lot. And an actor who you never saw his face, right, did such careful work that he was able to communicate in a way that when it was revealed that I was the man in the iron mask, you would look back and go, oh, I see it.
The whole time.
I see it. Let me tell you how I found out about that. I was going in for a costume fitting. I knew Henry Allen was probably going to die at the end of whatever season that was.
Right.
Because I had fulfilled my job both as an actor to graft my audience onto the new show. You know, Grant was on his own. He was assuming it. And then I went in for a costume fitting, and I was trying on this shredded prison outfit, but it was brown. And I'm like, well, this is weird. I'm already out of prison, and besides, our prison, gray. So what's this all about? And then the costume designer said, of course you'll be fitted for the Iron Mask separately. I'm like, what?
Excuse me?
The what? She said, oh my God, I didn't tell you. I didn't tell you. You don't know. I didn't tell you. It gets better. Grant, Jesse Martin, the great Jesse Martin, and I were doing a scene together. And on a break, we're sitting to the side while they're doing a lineup setup. And Grant says, so, you know what you know what you're going to be doing next? You know what you're going to be doing next season, right? I said, yeah, I'm the man in the Iron Mask. Go figure. And they're like, yeah, that's all you know? I'm like, there's more? They said, you're the real Jay Garrick, man. I said, no way, you know? And then I called Greg Berlanti, who was my head writer also on Dawson's Creek, and I said, Greg, I'm hearing rumors about parts I may or may not be playing going forward. Can you get, and then he said, oh my God, John, I thought the showrunner had already talked to you. Can we talk tomorrow? Well, we talked for 2 hours, and he spun out this story where in the penultimate episode, I would die as Barry's father. In the beginning of the next, I would be revealed as the man in the Iron Mask, who is the doppelganger of Henry Allen, who turns out to be the real Jay Garrick, which is the character y'all wanted me to play to begin with.
That's right. Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
And I thought, man, take me out of the equation. That is just brilliant. It's not manipulation because they did it truthfully, channeling of fan expectation.
Oh, yeah.
You
Yes,
know?
indeed. Yes,
But
indeed.
they told me they were coming to New York to scan me for a new suit this summer before Elseworlds.
Okay.
And I thought, oh, great, Jay Garrick's getting a new suit. Cool. I wonder what it'll look like. And then I started seeing drawings.
Deja vu.
And I'm like, wait, what suit are we talking about here? And again, it's the communication. I'm in New York. They're shooting up, you know, I only drop it in. And they said, well, we want you to come back as the 1990, your original Flash. And my eyes got that big. I said, you know, that was 28 years ago, right? I said, would any of you want to do a 28-year challenge? And Andrew Kreisman said, oh, you'll be fine. I wasn't so sure. But they came to New York. They digitally scanned me. I went at Kate Maine and the wonderful artists and craftsmen at Ocean Drive Leather in Vancouver. We worked on that suit. Because the last thing I wanted to do was to come back and have people go, ooh.
Never.
Expiration date.
Come on, come on.
You know. But we worked and we molded it and we cut it. It was really big at the beginning. We cut it down. We made it more streamlined to suit the ethic of the new show. And we got something that then I could look in the mirror and say, okay, again, okay, I think I can do this.
Wow.
I still didn't know how it would be received. I got to tell you, I was walking onto the set, and it was Elseworlds. Everybody was there. Steven was there.
Right.
Diggle was there.
Yep.
Supergirl was there. All the characters from all the shows were there, and here I come in the suit that was 28 years ago. Not 5 minutes. 28 years ago. So I'm coming onto the set like this, you know, like, oh, God, I hope this is okay. And they all burst into applause. And Grant Gustin said, this is the coolest thing we've ever done.
Right.
The only thing that pissed him off, and it endeared me to him forever, was he was upset that it was Elseworlds and that Steven was in the Flash suit with my original Flash. And he said, I'm in the Arrow suit. I don't even get to be in the Flash suit with you. But that's how that went down.
Well, I can
That's
tell you,
awesome.
when you first showed up in that very first trailer, I'm sure my neighbors were ludicrously annoyed with me.
Absolutely.
Because I was yelling my head off.
Yeah.
I was so thrilled to see it. So
Dude,
thank you very
the
much.
support and the affirmation, and you guys just lifted me up, man. No, overwhelming.
Yes. Thank
Overwhelming.
Yes, indeed.
Overwhelming.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Thank you. Hello.
Hello, my name is Rick. From
Hey,
Oklahoma.
Rick. I've talked to you all weekend.
Yeah, it's been great. By the way, he is amazing. If you haven't gotten to meet him yet, wonderful. dude.
Facts.
Anyway,
Thank you. Thank you.
something I found out at this panel is that you have a lot of stage presence and a lot of history in theater. I went to school for theater for 8 years.
I didn't know that.
I didn't bring it up. But a lot of interactions really helped me. So this kind of, is interesting that you brought it up because they have the musical number show.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned Jesse Martin, and you also have Grant Gustin and Melissa Benoist.
Benoist.
There
you go.
Did they ask you to sing and dance?
No, they did not.
Wow.
I don't know what Jay Garrick would sound like. Although, you know, I was an opera theater major at Indiana University, largest opera school in the country, on a voice performance scholarship before I left and made my major theater and then dropped out and moved to New York after a summer of theater in Holland, Michigan. So clearly, Jay would have been a bass baritone, you know.
That's right. That's right.
But no, they didn't ask me. I mean, you can only do so much. And you know who else is a great singer, is singing on Hallmark right now, is Michelle Harrison.
Oh, wow.
I think she has a show on tonight.
Okay.
I think she, like 8, 9 o'clock tonight. I think it's premiering. She also did a movie with Jesse
Right.
that, you know, you can find post-Flash.
Cool.
Love
That's
that.
awesome.
Love
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. We got about 9 minutes. We'll see what we
Oh
can
my
get through.
God, this
Hello.
is the lightning round.
That's right.
Lightning round. Well, John, my name is Ken, and again, I'm one of those fans of the original Flash television series. Really appreciated it. And I saw you recently, I'm not certain how long ago it was, you did a Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You brought up there, and I really appreciate what you were saying because you were talking about the differences between the two series because they were very different. And I'm not going to say one is better than the other. They were different, but what are some things that you thought one series had improved upon and may have done, concepts and ideas they may have done better than the other?
Well, they certainly made the suit make more sense, right? I mean, we were in the steroid hangover era, right? It had to, everything had to be bigger, bigger.
Right.
People complained about Grant's suit in the beginning, and I said, wait a minute, think about it, aerodynamic.
Right.
The guy's thing is speed. It actually makes more sense. Then they said, oh, he's too young. He can't play the Flash. And I said, well, make the show a hit. In 4 years, he won't be too young. And then they said, he played a villain on Glee. How can he be a superhero? I said, wait. When I came to Flash, I had 2 Emmys, both playing psychopaths. So he's actually continuing a tradition. And
That's
then they
right.
went,
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
Tradition.
Yes. Teach them. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but after I saw the tornado and everything, Andrew Kreisman came to me and said, I bet you're surprised what we could do. I was like, man, it looks fantastic. Plus, we weren't all night, every night, till dawn, fighting the sun coming up, doing live action practical effects, which has its own charm and artistic quality. Really quickly, the Blu-ray of the 1990 series, they went in to the original footage and they upscanned scene by scene, 4K upreses of the original footage that's coming out on Blu-ray June 25th.
Everybody, let's go get that. Let's go get that.
Nice.
Done and done. Done and done. Thank you.
I was going to say, back in the old VHS days, I only got to watch, I had to watch them on tape sometimes.
That's right.
I missed one episode, which was Done with Mirrors, and the first time I got to see it, I got somebody's old recording that was garbled and everything like that, and you know, it's a pleasure to get to see something like that coming out. So, John,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks
Appreciate
for being
that.
here.
Hello.
Hello, my name is John. I met you yesterday.
Yes.
And I got your autograph and everything. And myself, I'm glad that they're bringing the Flash back on DVD because other than you being the Flash, my other favorite superhero, played by the actor Christopher Reeve, Superman.
Oh, yeah.
You rank as the original Flash, and then the original Superman is Christopher Reeve. And to me, I think the best Batman is Michael Keaton, hands down.
Fair. It's magic time.
And I hope maybe someday you can do a show or a movie with Michael Keaton.
Yeah, right?
That would be awesome.
Listen, call the networks. Call
That's
the
right. That's
studios.
right.
Yeah.
Everybody get on Twitter
Send
right
your
now.
Emails, letters. If you want to see it, tweet it.
That's right.
You know what I
Yes.
mean?
I love it.
Yes,
I love it.
yes. And my other question is, what was it like working with Mark Hamill?
Mark
Ooh.
Hamill is one of the finest artists and human beings
Yes, indeed.
that I know. No, I was very stiff in the suit. You'll notice, the first episodes, I didn't want to be a mascot. I didn't want any B-roll in the suit. I didn't want to be hanging out with a cheeseburger and a Diet Coke with the cowl back, you know. I think I couldn't sit down, so they dragged out the old Betty Davis lean board for the costume with the big ball gowns. And so I'd prop up on that. There was a picture. Are there any young kids here?
They got to learn.
And there was a picture of me with the cowl back, the suit plugged into an ice chest, comatose with a cigarette in one hand and a Diet Coke in the other. And I was like, oh, do not let that get out. Dude, that is the wrong message.
That's too funny.
I don't know if I answered your question, but I had fun telling that
That's
story.
it. No, that's magic. That's magic. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All right, 4 minutes. Let's see what we can do.
Hi, my name's Connor. I'm
Yes.
a big fan. So you touched on this a little bit, but I think one of the fun things about about the Arrowverse is the multiverse and all the different Earths, and
Yes.
a lot of people get to play different roles. And I mean, you've already touched upon that you've played like Jay Garrick, Henry Allen came back as 90s Flash.
Right?
I was wondering, because I've been doing theater since I was a little kid. I was kind of wondering if you had a specific process that you use to try and differentiate between the characters or get in their headspaces, or how you
Ooh,
kind of
masterclass. Okay.
I take most of it from the script.
Okay.
I take most of it, and they've been so well written. But I didn't know anything about Barry Allen when I came to Barry Allen. So I had to learn from Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo and everything and get the background. When I came to Jay Garrick, I was like, I got to do my research because this is a relationship that has been very important to superhero fans for 60, 70 years.
Right.
So I've got to honor that. I can't be Henry Allen. I can't be the soft shoulder for him to lean the head on. It's got to have some distance, but I got to work my way back to the mentor-mentee relationship that fans have loved and respected all the years. So I really studied that and tried to have that, and I sort of made the template, my Barry Allen 30 years later. That was for Jay Garrick. Yeah. Mark Guggenheim, executive producer of Arrow, after Elseworlds aired, I heard him say in an interview, I wasn't there, he said, as soon as John Wesley put on the new version of the original suit, he started moving and talking like he did back in the day. And you know, as a young actor, that in costume epics, you know, the costume, your clothing, what kind of shoes you wear is a large part of your character building. And it certainly affects me.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Hello.
Hi, my name's Chris. When I was in college in the early 90s, I took a course on plays with medical ethics, and one of the things that we had to read was the Safe Sex trilogy that you and Harvey Fierstein did.
Right,
Yes.
we did on Broadway.
And I wanted to hear some ideas about working with Harvey, as well as how important plays like that were in terms of that time period, advocating for gay rights and the breakout of AIDS crisis in that time.
Absolutely, we dealt with all those issues. But I got to tell you, being on stage with Harvey Fierstein, as you can imagine, was an experience. There was 3 one-acts. The second one-act was the stage. There was a big seesaw that ran the whole length of the stage. I was on one end, and he was on the other end, and we were in a relationship. And so when things were smooth, we were seesawing like this. And then when the argument started happening, the seesaw starts going. Well, at one point during rehearsals, Harvey's hanging off the end of this. Where did you train, Circus of the Stars?
That's amazing. I love that.
I love Harvey, you know, but I want a T-shirt that says, I was on Broadway with Harvey Fierstein, I survived.
Truth is truth. Truth is truth. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Oh, okay. I have a question.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, you can move that down if you need to. Go ahead.
I could hear you.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. My question is, well, we have 2, one for me, one for him. What is your favorite moment working in the cast on Dawson's Creek?
Ooh,
With,
Dawson Creek.
of meeting them?
Yes. Being there on the set.
Being there on set. Well, the most thing that comes to mind, and I'll speak really quickly, was I was not the original dad. I was in Moab doing The Lost Treasure of Dos Santos with David Carradine, Lee Majors, Kathy Lee Crosby, and Michelle Green, right? It's a movie you'll never see.
Oh.
But when they decided to go a different way with the dad, they brought me in to read for it. So when I got to Wilmington, they had already done the pilot. I had to come in and reshoot the first scene from the pilot. So they all knew each other, you know. I come in, the first scene, I'm laying on my back on the coffee table, and Mrs. Leary is laying on top of me, and Josh and James walk in, and they were always like, oh, like that. So it was baptism by fire. And Mary Margaret told me, she took Mary and Margaret in the closet and said, he has veins. I guess my vascularity or something. But I had wonderful moments with those kids and watching them go from relative unknowns to superstars overnight, and how they handled it with such grace.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Do you have one?
It's so loud.
What's your most favorite moment in The Flash?
That's so hard. You know, I've played 4 characters on 5 different shows on 3 different networks across 30 years in
That's
one
right.
franchise.
That's right. Too many good ones.
So
Too
it's
many
very
good
hard
ones.
to pick, but I got to say, and I got into it here today, so I'm going to go with those. The Henry Barry very first scenes, as Grant was assuming that role, and I was coming in as the former Flash, and I got to be his father, telling him to go live his life and be all that he can be, and that I had faith in him and was proud of him. Those were some of the special moments I've ever had in my career.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Guys,